Hi everyone, my name is Diane and welcome to my channel Witchcraft is Political. So if you are new here, welcome. And if you came from the other video, you should, this is a reading for those who picked file 1 with the Aegean stone. Or I should tell you basically that this is part 2 of a 4-part series video, and you can go and check out part 1 to pick a card for this reading, or you can actually just go ahead with this if this is what calls out to you, because obviously you are being called here for a reason. I just want to state at the outset that I'm a witch, and on this channel I would not recommend it if you are scared of witches or witchcraft, or find them, just find it just something you don't want to be involved in, don't like witches, or are angry at witches. And I want to say that this is also a general reading, so not everything in this reading may resonate with you, but if you are being called here to watch this reading, there's definitely something in this reading you need to hear right now. So with all that basic information out of the way, I just want to say welcome again, and that I have been sensing the energy for this reading for a couple of weeks now actually, and I want to say that this is going to be an intense reading, and I guess given the topic of the reading you kind of already have a sense of that, but in case you don't find that you are emotionally feeling great right now, or you don't feel ready to delve into such a reading, then you can always come back to this video later, or you can continue with this video, and if at any time it gets too much, you can always just leave. So I'm just like putting this out there as sort of a trigger warning for people who are watching it. I don't know what's gonna come up, honestly, so I don't really know even if the set trigger warning is necessary or not. I just feel that the energies are like really intense right now around this theme, and in general in the past few weeks, as we also saw with the mini reading we did in the part 1 of this video. So I just want to like kind of, give you a friendly heads up. Yeah. And I especially want to invoke and acknowledge and thank Kali, Sara, Inanna, Auset, and Lilith for being here with us today. These are all goddesses from different cultures and different times, but they have been incredibly present with me as I have been asked to do this reading for you. They have also encouraged me to do this reading for you actually, and with this theme, and they're all mother goddesses, even though they come from many different parts of the world, although most of them I think are from the Eastern Hemisphere, and and they also come from many different timelines, but they have really been a big motivator for me. Not just a motivator, but like a rock just to lean on and, heal my own mother wounds, or at least like begin the process trying to understand like the depth and the vastness of it, and all the larger violence of patriarchy today, and also the different flavors of patriarchy. So I should tell you also that I'm not just like babbling. I am a channel, and as soon as I begin these readings and ask these goddesses or any gods or spirits to help me, I'm already channeling. So whatever I will begin to say from now on, it's really a message meant for you in this reading to be heard, and take it like that. Yeah. something I was really called to say in this reading, particularly for your pile, was how patriarchy is not just like a single monolithic thing, right? And how there are like all these different flavors in different cultures, and it looks different in different cultures. There can be, and there are like different intersectionalities as well. So there's your white supremacist patriarchy, there's white capitalist patriarchy, there's caste induced and reinforced patriarchy. So I mean, these are just some examples. So this is just something to keep in mind when we are doing these readings. And the other thing they have been asking me to remind you is patriarchy is a deeply violent form, and it is a form of control, and I think you already know that. But to heal from this deep violence and its underlying forms of control, to heal from all of this injury and hurt, and to heal our closest women to women relationships and your relationship with your mother. I don't know why I'm putting it like this, women to women relationships. Maybe a lot of you watching this are really female or identify as female. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there are no men watching this or NBs, I don't know. So that's kind of beside the point. The point is that to heal our relationship with our mothers, to heal our relationships with women, we have to kind of apprehend patriarchy not just as a form of control and violence, which it is for sure, but we need to get one step deeper, to not just see the wound, but actually see what is causing that wound in the first place, and why are people behaving in such deeply unaccountable ways, and I mean, on both sides. I know, like, this can be, I think, sometimes really hard to hear, especially as women who have been really, really hurt by this society, that there is work to be done both ways, and it's not like a one-way street. Feminism is not like a one-way street, right? And I'll just say it, like, it's just important to recognize that we must heal ourselves even as we expect others to heal themselves, right? And we must also heal ourselves as women. And before we can expect healing in any relationship, we must do that healing in our relationship with ourselves. And to do that healing, it is necessary to get into like another layer of the wound, right? Not just the idea that that wound of violence and control exists, but we need to like dig deeper and go into the heart of what drives that, especially when we are injured. And often it's the fear of hurt and fear of the unknown, fear of even more hurt. Especially if you have been injured, you are less likely to be open to unknown things. I mean, that's just the normal yeah, I mean, who wouldn't, right? Like, that's how things work. So it actually takes extra effort to convince yourself that you don't have to live by the standards of your wounds, including the wounds which patriarchy has given us, both as men and women, because patriarchy doesn't wound only women. Both as men and women and any other gender you identify as, or even if you don't see gender. You know, patriarchy wounds us all as people at its core. So, and that repeat. I mean, it's if it's not just a wound which happens at one point of time, and it's done, and then we can begin the healing. The problem is that that wound keeps that violence keeps tugging at us and beating us over and over every day, right? Telling us what is proper, what are the proper ways to behave, or is the proper things to feel, and what emotions cannot be felt, and what work cannot be done in our capacity as people. So it's not it's this kind of wounding and healing, like it's this kind of healing which you have to do on yourself over and over, even as you are being assaulted over and over. So that's like really, really, really hard work. And they're just asking me to remind you to not limit your understanding of relationships, and including your relationship with your mother, merely to the idea that men have oppressed women, and that is patriarchy. Men have controlled and imposed violence against women, and that is patriarchy. But to rather see it at a deeper way, at how patriarchy is a system which injures both men and women and people in general, and how it kind of reinforces those injuries over and over at an everyday level. So, and all of it is like driven by fear of the unknown, of uncertainty. So, to kind of heal ourselves, we must recognize this as the basic problem rather than blaming one whole gender, either or. Anyway, with that little channel message, I will just now go directly into looking at the cards for you. And we have here the Deer. So this card is the energy between you and your mother regarding your relationship. And everything I've said about patriarchy so far is somehow related to or connected to your relationship with your mother. So it's not like some random rant. It's kind of relevant. It kind of ties up. Even I'm not sure how exactly it ties up, but like we will go into the specifics now as the spirits and the gods choose to reveal their messages. So this is the overall energy I'm getting about your relationship, and I just want to pick a few more cards and just see what happens, right? Like just pick out all the cards and then do the readings together. So I'm gonna use the Illuminated Tarot now and pick out 2 cards for your energy and your mother's energy in this relationship. So this is the overall energy of the relationship, signified by the Deer. But let's get energy for your relationship. And Let's get the energy for you in the relationship, and another for your mother in the relationship. So let's see, what do we have here? That's too many cards. Should I take it? No. Okay, this one no. It's taking longer than usual. Goddess Kali, help us. Auset, help us. This one. Wow. Okay. Let's see. 7 of Swords reversed, or the Chariot reversed for your energy, and 6 of Swords for your mother's energy. Interesting, both are swords. So what this is telling me basically is that you and your mother have had a really spiritual connection. Actually, maybe your mother taught you a lot about religion, or maybe just if you didn't have a religious upbringing, but that maybe like it can be just larger about spirits and spiritual, and just kind of connecting to nature and a natural way of living in the world. And wow, also a way of speaking up, communicating, speaking up and standing up for yourself, but also something about some sort of maybe even singing. So it's really weird, but I'm really drawn to both the violet and the blue in both these cards, and that really signifies the crown and the throat chakra. And I've never been drawn to these colors in these cards before, so it's interesting to see that. And like I feel you guys have had like a connection at a spiritual level, at least when you were a child. And this connection, then this how this comes together in a relationship, it's signified by the deer. This connection is very it has helped you a lot to believe in love. The love of your mother and the way she has loved you has shaped or has played a crucial part in first your own understanding of what love is and what love means, and second, your own ability or feelings about love, or your own capacity to actually love. And to this is also like tied with your identity, or both your identities in a way, the understanding of love and relationships, which the way you understand it. And wow, again, I'm being really drawn to the big ears of the deer in this picture. And I feel there is something here about listening, like how you equate, like how a lot of your ideas about love, and also your mother's ideas about love, uh, are about having a sense of being or feeling heard, you know. Wait, a sense of listening and feeling heard. So it's both. Okay, I'm getting that. I think, yeah, I'm getting that it for you it's more about feeling heard, but for your mother, the way she expresses love, it's more about listening. Like the way her language of love, her language of um, expressing love is through listening. And yeah, I mean, so can be yours, but this has in inculcated in you the idea that you are loved when you are heard, or when you feel heard. And I mean, I'm not saying that's a wrong thing or anything, like I mean, obviously, like, but you, what I'm trying to say is that you place a lot of emphasis on uh, I shouldn't say you place a lot of emphasis, because it's not like really that conscious. I'm getting like, it's more like when you feel most loved in a relationship, when you feel that you are being heard. So that's kind of like, yeah. But it's also in reverse. Yeah, but that's relating to hmm. Something else I'm getting about your relationship, the relationship between you and your mother, is that it's your mother is a very caring and like a very mothering person in a very traditional, gentle, caring, feminine way. And she has like this real, like, the deer is like the symbol of mother, mother. Like it's it's so much about like herd and family and this gentleness, right? Wow. And something I am getting that it's not, there is, yeah, yeah. It seems to me that right now you and your mother and this relationship which you have is kind of moving like you and your mother are moving in opposite directions in this relationship almost. There has been some sort of um, incident or a set of incidents which has made the both of you feel that you are not really able to communicate to each other in a way that you feel heard or listened to, or in a way in which you are both actually listening. And I'm getting like this might have been a recent realization, but it has roots also in your childhood. And maybe you did not always feel like you were heard as a child, or that your emotions were validated by your mother. And of course, right now, whatever has happened, it's not as if, those incidents are connected with your childhood incidents, like, or at least you're not making that connection, but they are trying to say that they are actually connected. So it's like part of a larger pattern in your relationship. This, yeah, something which plagues this relationship is really uh, communication problems. I also sense a fair amount of grief from your mother's side about this relationship, and like she's trying to move on from it, or like almost not um, almost like not acknowledge that grief, because she wants to feel like everything is normal and the same, and it is the perfect mother and child relationship. But I feel like this makes you feel this kind of approach she has to your relationship of not like really talking about her feelings honestly, especially when they are like um, tougher feelings, when they are just like grief, because she feels like she has to give you only the good things, and when she doesn't talk about those things, it kind of makes you feel um, guilty. Honestly, you feel guilt ridden, and um, that stops you from moving forward in your life and going on in your own path, because it's like this guilt from things which are left unsaid, so it's not even like something you are able to really articulate and say what is really happening in this relationship, or say what is really happening in this situation, and then like kind of it, it's not like you're not really able to understand what is happening in this relationship, except like it feels heavy. It doesn't feel easy or light, but it feels heavy, but it's very hard at the same time to pinpoint, what exactly is wrong, or what exactly is missing, or why your mother doesn't seem happy even when she says she is, and that kind of makes you feel like you are somehow responsible for her unhappiness, and that makes you feel guilty in this entire situation. So that's kind of like the current energies I'm getting regarding this relationship. So there is a lot of like love between the two of you, but it's also being complicated by more lots of other feelings which are not always so savory, and including feelings of sadness and of guilt. And it seems that in a way you want to like not focus on this relationship right now and just carve your own path and like just move forward. And but you want to move forward, but then you find you can't move forward. And I don't think you want to like all this happening so consciously, but like you feel heavy, you feel like a block, you feel like something is you feel heavy, you feel blocked, you feel like something is stopping you from getting everything you desire in your life, all your crazy dreams. Like something makes you feel limited, like not really exactly the true use, but somehow like just limited and living according to the prescriptions of, I don't know, life and expectations of others. And you can't really pinpoint what it is, but they are asking me to tell you that in all this, like there is something about your relationship with your mother which you need to heal in order to overcome your own blocks. So I'm not saying that your block is only about the relationship with your mother. It's not only it, but there is something about your relationship with your mother which is making you feel guilt ridden and preventing your progress in other areas of your life, not necessarily in your relationship with her. So they are asking, Mother Goddesses are asking me to tell you that this is something you need to heal if you are to really truly realize the full potential of everything that you have to offer in this lifetime. So with that, let's pull out some more cards, and now I want to see, now we can get like a little bit deeper into it, having established, what is the current status of the relationship. And let's examine what is causing this dynamic in this relationship right now, and how can we heal it. So I feel like to get into this dynamic, it's good to know, because I almost get this, it's good to know what makes your mother feel injured or hurt. And oftentimes this is not really about what you do as her child, but it's also about her own injuries and traumas and the violence she has faced in this patriarchal society, and she is facing. So So, and all those injuries which also accumulate to give that sense of heaviness. So I should tell you that please don't feel guilty about her emotions. Please don't feel like you're responsible for her emotions. Every person's emotions is their own business. We are not responsible for any other person's emotions. We can only, but we are like 102% responsible for our own emotions and how we use those emotions. So just keep that in mind. You can't change how others feel. You can't even change how you feel, but you can change how you choose to act or not act on those feelings. So, all this is just to say that I feel you really want to help your mother and you really want to understand these things about her, but it's very hard for you to even know how to begin that conversation or really even get into talking about like such intense or deep things. And which is why I think I guess I was called to do this reading and for you, and like because there is a lot of information here which about your mother which is actually inaccessible to you. So we see here in the mother energy picture there is the moon, and the moon is often about inaccessible information, shadow sides, even though the moon here is full. And in a way your mother is kind of moving and trying to access her emotions, but I think the reason she is not able to have a full conversation, a clear conversation with you, is actually that she's not she's still in the process of understanding her own feelings. It's not that she wants to not share with you, it's more that she is still trying to figure out her own life and her own feelings, right? I mean, it's really interesting because we tend to see our parents as, someone who have everything together and someone who has, I mean, they're like little gods, right? I mean, because, we came into this world and they were like there and they provided for everything. So even like without thinking, like subconsciously, there's this feeling in us which automatically inculcates is that they are always going to be there and they have it together. They know what they're doing. But that's not always the case because, I mean, that's hardly the case because parents are also people. Parents are just people. And so it's not as if your mother does not want to share with you or speak to you. It's that she does not understand her own feelings at this point. And I think for a long time she has not really understood them, or like she has, at least, tried not really face them fully, especially when there were like conflicting feelings, the feelings which patriarchy says you as a woman are not supposed to have in a particular situation, including in situations of motherhood, or feelings which are like motherhood and family feelings, which are kind of basically assigned by patriarchy to different genders, and then some other feelings are like, okay, this is not allowed, and that basically prevents us from fully accessing and processing and fully feeling our own feelings. And when we don't feel our own feelings, we can't live our own life, so just understand that right now your mother is in that stage where she's like still trying to process and understand herself, and how much ever you want to help and how much ever you have gotten frustrated in the past or in the present, about wanting to help but not really getting that kind of entry point, or like you feel like your mother is blocking your help or something, and then in the end you end up feeling guilty. Know that she is not doing it consciously. It's not because she does not want to listen to you, she does not. It's not because she does not love you. She loves you. Wow, it's some intense energy, guys. She really, really loves you. She wants to tell you that. Her not listening at this point to you is not a sign of her being unable to love. But what is happening here is that she needs some time to herself, in a way, to figure out her own feelings. She cannot accept help when she doesn't know what is her own state, right? So please try to give her some grace. Yeah. And I think, I know, I'm getting a really big feeling from you that you do want to take action and you do want to, help in whatever way you can with this process, right? And which is why I'm kind of being called to draw from another deck of cards, the Celestial Tarot, to kind of outline what are the wounds that you have faced in your childhood, in your relationship with your mother, or in your adulthood, whatever. What are the wounds in this relationship, and what are the wounds which your mother has faced in her own relationship with her own mother? Because these are the kind of questions I think can give us some better understanding of how to heal, a relationship which is so complicated, which has been made so complicated, through patriarchy and different flavors of patriarchy, racialized and casteized patriarchy, So I think I want to pull a card, one card for both of you, regarding what kind of wounds. First, what kind of wounds do you feel in a relationship with your mother? And second, what kind of wounds has your mother experienced in her own relationship with her own mother? So that we can get a bit of a generational history of what's happened here. And I'll just pick one card each, not a lot. Don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. And also, remember, these are general readings. So I can't go into a lot of specifics on that. Alright, that's one for you. And should I take? Oh, okay. One. Oh, okay. Let's see. We have Princess of Wands in reverse and Three of Pentacles in reverse. So, the card we have for you is the Princess of Wands, or Summer in reverse. So, like that. And the card for the wounds of your mother, we have Delphinus or Three of Pentacles, but it's in reverse as well. So, which makes sense because that both came up in reversals, because we asked the question about what are the wounds which both of you have faced in your mother relationships, mother-child relationships, right? So, beginning with you, it makes like a lot of sense, or like it in the I just mean it really connects to what I was asked, what I was talking about before. Like it's a confirmation about how you feel your possibilities are restricted, because this card is about creativity and creation. So especially your creative possibilities, what you think are possible, what you think is possible for you in this life, what is your vision about this life. You know, it has been restricted, it has been like made limited, somehow smaller in through your, through the wounds you have faced in your relationship with your mother. And a lot of it comes from guilt, you know, which I already talked about earlier. And this is like the guilt which gets passed on from generation to generation, right? From mother to child, mother to child. And yeah, I am getting that this is also a lot to do like with your mother's expectations about you and your life. I get this distinct sense that your mother has had uh, a particular idea or particular way of thinking about how you will lead your life, or how you are supposed to lead your life, or what is best for you in your life, because she cares about you. But sometimes this form of care can get also really limiting and overwhelming and limiting, because then it's almost like imposing her vision of life onto you, right? And that limits your possibilities. And like, I'm not saying that she's imposing vision on her vision of life on you consciously. This can be happening, this is happening at a very, very subconscious level. That's how you know, the patriarchal wounds get passed from mother to child, mother to child, you know, intergenerational. Like, because we don't realize that we are wounded and we don't heal ourselves, and then, you know, the chain just carries on. And so, because of all these expectations which you have, which she has unconsciously given to you about what a good life for you is supposed to look like, and which you have unconsciously also in inhered, inculcated, internalized, you feel a lot of guilt on the one hand now, because you feel like you're not living up to those expectations, and two, at the same time you feel guilt, at the same time you feel like the possibilities of your life are limited, and what you can do, or what is achievable to you is not, like, you feel like there's a lot of things which are not accessible to you, you know. There's a lot of there's almost, I get there's almost a sense of adventure versus stability, or adventures versus certainty. And like, part of you wants to move into this like adventurous ground, you know, like with the chariot, right? Like, part of you wants to like take the horses, take the rein, and, you know, just like go out and explore the world and just see whatever happens. Don't give a damn, right? But another part of you like feels really scared and restricted, by the idea of that adventure, because adventure literally means that anything can happen and things are not certain and there is always that risk, right? And there's that part of you which is so scared of taking those risks. And when you become ruled by those fears, then the possibilities of life automatically become smaller, right? Because you will always avoid things which are risky, because you don't want to, you will not want to face your fears. Like subconsciously, you will just feel like, oh, this is too much work, this is too risky, this is too uncertain, and this is not the expectations uh, of others, of my life, but like it's not even about others, because at this point it gets like really internalized. And then it's like, oh, this is not a good life. The good life is the life which is stable and certain, not necessarily a life which involves taking risk. That's a risky life. That's not the life I'm supposed to be living, right? So that automatically restricts your creative possibilities, what you can make of your life, what you can create out of your own life. And what they're saying is that this is very related to these feelings you are facing in general in life right now, is very related to uh, the, the relationship you have had with your mother in this life. There's a lot of unarticulated wounds and trauma there, which has been passed from generation to generation in your family. Because when we look at the card of your mother for her relationship with her mother, um, or in general also her family, but yeah, with her mother specifically, there were also, we have Three of Pentacles in reverse, and Three of Pentacles upright is the idea of collaboration and achievement, and in a good way, like making something together. But in reverse, it is the card of fulfilling others' expectations, It's the card of working under the watch of someone to their directions, but not really having a sense of what you really want. And that's how, to a large extent, your mother's childhood was, or your mother's upbringing was, or like that was the dynamics in her family, where she felt like she had to also live up to a lot of defined expectations of her mother. And because of that, she felt quite constrained, quite creatively constrained, and creative in the broadest sense, creative in the sense of what can you make out of your life, what can you create out of your life, right? So in that sense, she felt like she did not really have a say about what her life was gonna be like. And this is something she has experienced in her relationship with her mother. This was again not always articulated, and it was not necessarily something she questioned. It was not necessarily something she cast in doubt, what her mother wanted for her life. She just kind of went with it. but going with it is what inflicted and deepened the wound and provided no healing for that wound of of uh, being or feeling, not just feeling, but like, yeah, of being, basically told by someone else in your life what your life is supposed to be like, what your life is supposed to look like, what you are expected to behave, and behave like. And this is something women everywhere go through. I mean, this is sadly the nature of our society, right? And this is the level we are trying to resist. This is the level at which we are trying to fight patriarchy. So by saying, by basically adhering to the expectations of her mother in this idea about what life should be for her as a woman, she never recognized the hurt she felt. She felt hurt. She felt, wow, she felt, yeah, of course, she felt unheard. Like when we started this reading, we talked about feeling unheard and the meaning of, wow, okay, I get it. She felt unheard. She felt like her real voice was not really actually being listened to. What her opinion was never given value, and what she sought was never really asked, or at least she was not given the space to figure out for herself what she wanted. She was not given the space to make mistakes, because everyone around her was so protective of her. Because her mother was so protective of her that she never really gave her a chance to make mistakes. And this overt protection becomes then like a suffocating form of love almost, right? But like I said, for your mother, as for you, the idea of love has always been tied to the ability to listen and to be heard, to express and to be heard, right? And when she did not get that space to express her desires or even figure out her desires in her family with her mother, in her family of upbringing, then at one deep level she felt like unloved. She felt so unloved. But will patriarchy let us admit that feeling of being unloved? One second. Because we are taught that if you feel unloved, there's something wrong with us when we feel unloved. But that's not really the case. The guilt and the shame which patriarchy inculcates in us just for feeling unloved, especially in our own families, this is totally a political oppression. It's a technique of political oppression, this whole guilt and shame. Because if only we could admit that we were feeling unloved at certain points, then we could begin to address that and heal it. Begin to see it as a wound, for the reality of it, and begin to give ourselves the love we need to heal it. But since we can't even admit this, and this was kind of like the dynamic there, your mother's dynamic with her mother, you know, where she felt like she had to live up to her expectations, but at the same time, it made her feel unloved, but at the same time, uh, this was not something she could admit even to herself. So she probably ended up painting a very romanticized picture of her childhood when things were not always that easy between her and her mother either. And in a way, that is the wound of your mother, which is now passing on to you, because this was engineered through guilt and shame and fear, right? Again, I'm not saying anyone like did it deliberately or intentionally, right? But it happened, and there was a lot of unawareness around this wound, around these dynamics of control, and it limited the life possibilities for your mother. That guilt and that feeling of being unloved, and now that guilt is being passed on to you, and it's doing the same thing for you. So what they're asking me to tell you through all this is that you have to be really aware and stop blaming yourself for things which are not seeming right in this relationship, because you have to understand that there is a long history of intergenerational trauma which passes through all families, because most of us, we don't do that healing work. We don't pray for our ancestors, or we don't really take an interest and get to really know their lives and emotions. And there's a lot of unsaid, and especially in patriarchy, there is a lot of unsaid injuries, a lot of unacknowledged wounds which live in our families. So, and those unacknowledged wounds then obviously work in invisible ways, so that you feel things are heavy, things are off, but you can't really articulate it. That's the nature of power in patriarchy. So this is just kind of to understand like the dynamics of what is happening. Now I'm being in your relationship with your mother, and like why these wounds are working the way they are, and how patriarchy is playing a role in it, and how you are not responsible for your mother's emotions and her life. It's also something she has to figure out on her own. Anyway, now let's get some advice for you in this situation about how to heal, because now healing is gonna happen not by you trying to cure your mother or something like this, because like I said, that's her responsibility. Not just her responsibility, because it's not even in your power. You can't change her emotional state, and you can't change her past. I mean, no one can change her past, but you can't change how she looks at it. So you have to figure out what you can do realistically in this relationship, right? And what you can bring to this relationship in the form of healing, and that precisely is how you can heal yourself, right? Like, because when you heal yourself, your energies will automatically flow through this beautiful relationship to reach your mother, and like remove this kind of like I'm getting like a frightened deer energy, a deer which is like so it's skittish, kind of like scared about living life wholly. So like it's kind of frightened and skittish and moving around like in a very frightened way really fast, just to kind of move away from that energy of that unbalanced year to a more like balanced dear energy, which is about living all emotions, feeling all emotions, taking the goods and bads of life, and living them, feeling them, learning from them, and just kind of bringing all the love you have to offer through to all different parts of you, through to love you can offer to all different parts of you, including all those difficult emotions of anxiety, of fear, you know, of guilt. You don't, guilt is, at one level, it's just beating yourself up, right? But you don't have to beat yourself up. You can offer yourself love, and that will bring healing to you, which will go through this relationship to your mother too. That's the best way you can help her. So with that, I just want to get some advice from the Tree Angel Oracle deck. It's this one. And let's see what trees have to say. So the Tree Spirit card as advice which came out for you is 0, the Birch. And wow, I mean, I'll just read from the book because I feel like a lot of this I've already said. And this is just another sign that spirits and goddesses, mother goddesses are here with you today to help you heal through this relationship. So, Birch. The birch is life's ancient yet eternally youthful nursemaid. Her spirit is a spark of the ancient mother who gives birth to creation. So we talked about creativity and creation and how that is the core of motherhood, and limiting creativity then kind of like morphs motherhood and women, into something very, very just instrumental for patriarchy's needs. Anyway, she brings light to the landscape and human heart. She reminds of the eternal regenerative power of nature. It is never too late to begin again. This is her message. So she advises to let go of the past, purify, start afresh with open heart and open arms. Don't cling on to outmoded ideas, feelings of guilt or constriction. So, I mean, this is like basically what I already said. Like, in the absence of birch, we are paralyzed by the patterns of the past, fearing change. Yeah. Mentally, we become stubborn and dogmatic, and physically, we develop illnesses such as rheumatism. Listen to the bird's message. You stand naked before God, newborn, innocent. Delve deep within, empty yourself. Now open your eyes and see. Delve deep within, empty yourself, then open your eyes and see. Follow your heart and take the first step into a new world. So this is the advice for you from the birch, is really to kind of clear your mind and give up, try to work past all the expectations and assumptions you have about life and which have been given to you by your family, and just look at the possibilities, work past the guilt, to kind of like love yourself instead of guilting yourself. And you can develop this through a spiritual practice of talking to the universe and talking to the spirits. So kind of like this is also a call to renew your faith and find your most fundamental connections, not in other people in this world, but actually in spirit, because that is what will give you the connection to really your true self and align you with your true path, and will also bring you healing, which you can then pass on to the rest of your family, including your mother. That energy and that lightness, that freshness, not the heaviness which is weighing people down right now. All right.